Cancer.
You have cancer.
Cancer.
It's not contagious.
Cancer is a word no one wants to hear. In an attempt to reduce your risk of developing the disease, researchers are learning more ways to help fight back in this continuous battle. In order to help steer people in the right direction, here is a list of the top 10 cancer-causing foods that you should not eat.
Don't eat that, sweetie. It's poison.
Processed deli meats.
Welcome to the deli.
How's your turkey?
Processed meats are well documented as being related to several different types of cancers in the body. This makes cold cuts the #1 food that causes cancer, and therefore the #1 food that should be avoided. The WHO currently classifies processed deli meats as a Group 1 carcinogen, which basically means that some of the smartest people in the global community currently believe that processed meats have a strong relationship to cancer. Deli meats as a group is extremely broad, however, it basically refers to any pre-processed meat.
Give me a half-pound of roast beef.
This can be everything from sliced cold cuts for sandwiches to hot dogs. It can be a spicy salami or breakfast sausages with a maple glaze for the morning breakfast. All of these options and more have been deemed by the WHO to have a strong link in causing cancer. Processed meats contain both nitrites and nitrates. These have been discovered to create cancer-causing chemicals in the body upon breakdown. This can be quite frightening when one looks at just how much processed meat they eat over the course of a week, let alone how much over a lifetime. It can be quite difficult to cut back on some of our favorite foods, but for the good of our bodies, it must be done.
We got the cheese insurance.
It doesn't cover mortadella.
Red meat.
Mr. Steak, you're my only friend.
In the past, red meat has been considered an essential portion of a balanced diet. Unfortunately, today, people are beginning to recognize that a once adored staple in the Western diet is actually incredibly harmful to the body. Although people love a good steak dinner in the summer or a beautiful bowl of beef stew in the cold winter months, red meat is one of the most dangerous foods one can eat when it comes to the potential increase in likeliness of developing cancer. The surprising reason for red meat's addition to this list is not because of its unnatural processing, as with some other items. When the body processes red meat, it produces chemicals that aid in the digestion process. In terms of processing red meat, it is believed that these chemicals have the ability to damage parts of the intestinal tract, which has the possibility to lead to cancer.
Oncology. But that's cancer.
For this reason, the World Health Organization considers red meat a probable cause of cancer. Due to the documented positive effects of red meat on the body, it is not typically recommended to be removed completely from people's diet. However, it is recommended that the general population should significantly decrease their amount of red meat consumption. People do seem to be taking this advice, with more and more people choosing to focus on more plant-based diets. And why not? It's widely considered better for your health and the environment in general.
That would be much better.
Canned tomatoes.
Why are you throwing tomatoes at yourself?
A surprising addition to this list is one that has filled the shelves of home pantries for decades: canned tomatoes. Many will be shocked to learn that canned tomatoes, while appearing completely harmless, may potentially be causing serious cancer in the body. The issue with the canned tomatoes doesn't actually come directly from the tomatoes themselves, but rather the can, which seals in their freshness. In order to help prevent the breakdown of the can and preserve the quality of the product inside, bisphenol A, or BPA, is added to the lining of the can. This extremely controversial product has been deemed unsafe for humans at all levels of consumption within the body, and yet it is used consistently today in both plastic and canned packaging.
Yeah, yikes. Not safe.
The tomatoes themselves, once consumed, can transfer the BPAs directly into the human body, which can cause certain cancers. The reason why tomatoes are particularly at risk in comparison to other foods relates directly to their acidic quality. While chips or crackers are less likely to wear down the BPA on packaging, the natural acidic nature of the tomatoes makes it a perfect carrier for the BPA that is broken down from the can lining over time. It may just be best to stick to fresh tomatoes when possible, or look for them in a jar the next time you're cooking up a big batch of tomato sauce or chili.
Dude, shut up! That is awesome sauce!
Burned meat.
This is burnt.
No, baby, that ain't burnt now.
While red meats and processed meats in general have been linked directly to bowel cancer in humans, there may be additional potential dangers if meats are cooked on the barbecue or charred black with burn. Although the evidence that has been presented in human research studies is inconclusive, there is an absolute correlation between cancer-causing carcinogens in animal studies and consuming burned meat. When working with red meats such as burgers and steaks or processed meats like hot dogs and sausages, the risk is even greater.
You put too much alcohol on too soon.
What's worse is that many of the most dangerous meats on the market in terms of human health are marketed for cooking on the barbecue. Due to these potential dangers, it is suggested that meat be cooked using processes that are much less likely to burn the exterior, such as stewing, boiling, slow cooking, pressure cooking, or microwaving, to name a few. As hard as it is to hear, it's best to try and cut barbecue out as the main source of heat and turn towards alternative means when cooking meat to best protect from potential carcinogenic properties.
You have ruined a perfectly good barbecue with your demands and chatter.
Farmed salmon.
Is the salmon wild caught?
She only eats wild caught.
Fish as a protein is extremely controversial in 2020. While fresh and wild fish is often considered best, environmentalists and nutritionists alike are concerned about the related effects. Overfishing is terrible for an ecosystem that is already at risk, and the levels of mercury within wild fish are becoming increasingly dangerous with each passing day. In order to try and find some middle ground, fish farms have become a more and more popular way of satisfying people's cravings for fish. Unfortunately, as with most new innovations, there are downfalls to be noted with this very technological system. The major issue with salmon farming is that it creates pollutants that stem from overcrowding issues. The carcinogenic levels in farm-fresh salmon have reached such a high level that some UK researchers have even suggested it would be unwise to consume salmon more than once a month.
I didn't want salmon! I said it 4 times!
Anything that risky should probably just be avoided entirely. Although humans' love of salmon is understandable, everyone must truly consider the risks and the rewards for both the self and the ocean when sitting down to a plate of smoked salmon for dinner. As researchers continue to discover the perks and downfalls between farm-raised and wild salmon, there is one thing for certain: fish consumption must be cut back in general in order to keep the fish, feed the masses, and therefore keep the population healthy all at the same time.
You talking about that's healthy? I know what healthy is.
Smoked food.
Ooh. Smoke that.
Smoking food has been a long-standing tradition in many cultures that dates back thousands of years. Indigenous peoples learned that the smoking of meats helped to preserve it by not only drying out the meat, but also providing an outer coating around the meat itself. Both of these changes to the meat help to curb the production of bacteria and therefore assist in preservation. Today, smoking meat is typically used as a technique for creating a delicious woodsy flavor. It seems everything is smoked nowadays, including cheeses, meats, spices, fish, and produce.
How about wild boar? Or swordfish? Or hippo?
Even the flavor of the smoke itself can be altered depending on the type of wood being used in the smoker. Unfortunately, despite the current love affair with smoking food, it may be one of the ways that cancer is spreading throughout the globe. Smoking meat may be done safely with the most pure, untreated fuel, the wood, but the reason it becomes so dangerous is because smoking the food means that any toxins present in the fuel will be transferred to the food. The additional presence of carcinogens in the potentially burnt meat must also be considered. Although that applewood smoked bacon is great on a BLT, maybe skip it and grab a grilled cheese sandwich instead for lunch.
Hey, baby, give me a grilled cheese deluxe and make it snappy.
Microwave popcorn.
Microwave for popcorn, stove for storing shoes.
When it comes to cancer-causing foods, for many, anything that enters the microwave already gets a bad rap. However, despite worldwide hysteria, multiple studies have set out to prove that the microwave's cancerous impression is just a myth and does not actually increase the likeliness of cancer. While this can be said about microwaves, microwave popcorn, one of the machine's main visitors, may actually be a reason for concern. While microwave popcorn popcorn bags do an amazing job of holding together all those oily popcorn kernels, the same product may actually be causing serious disease within the human body. Microwave popcorn bags are made using perfluorinated compounds, or PFCs for short, which, although great for helping with packaging, also creates perfluorooctanoic acid, which has been highly regarded as cancer-causing. Eating these chemicals while consuming the popcorn means that the chemicals have the ability to build up slowly over time in the body, potentially leading to extremely harmful consequences. Although in 2011, the FDA passed regulations that would remove PFCs from the market, many products have been developed since this time that have not been held up to the same strict standards, which leaves researchers wondering if today's products are still being as closely monitored. Either way, when it comes to popcorn, it's best to go the stovetop route or get an air popper if it's a favorite snack in the household. It really tastes better that way anyway.
Hey Mark, can you press stop when my popcorn's done?
Refined sugar.
No sugar added? And I'm proud of that.
Although the body does require sugar to properly function, typically this requirement is met with the daily consumption of whole foods like fruits and vegetables. This list is referring directly to refined sugars, meaning more specifically white sugar. This item has been listed for a few important reasons. In addition to the cancer-causing traits that will be listed, refined sugars are known to contribute to many other diseases such as diabetes. Sugar itself is a food that humans crave more than any other, and it is incredibly important that we do not let ourselves overindulge, especially in today's society where more is never enough. The first of these being the fact that overconsumption of sugar is one of the leading causes of obesity, and currently obesity has been linked to increasing likelihood of 13 different types of cancer. This means one of the best ways to keep oneself cancer-free is to attempt to keep out of the obesity category of weight class. Reducing sugar consumption is one of the fastest and easiest ways to help curb obesity, as the body becomes addicted to sugar, which forces us to continue eating. Then there are the actual sugars themselves, which is known as an important nutrient for any cancerous growth, meaning that giving the body less sugar would also provide any cancerous cells less sugar. It is for this reason that sugar itself is being designated as one of the worst cancer-causing foods. Any nutrition plan should, of course, always be discussed with a physician.
I was so lucky getting mono. That was like the best diet ever.
Alcohol.
Why is our night together such a blur?
Alcohol?
The cancerous relationship between alcohol and the body is extremely well documented by researchers. Perhaps because of the well-known physical effects of alcohol on the body, more research has been done on the harm it causes humanity in comparison to some of the other items listed. The consumption of alcohol directly contributes to an increased chance of cancer in 6 areas of the body. It's not a surprise that the 6 types of cancer caused by alcohol are all areas that come into direct contact with the alcohol while the body processes it. This means that the mouth and throat, esophagus, breast, larynx, colon, and liver are all at an increased risk of developing cancerous cells when alcohol is consumed.
Could I have a glass of alcohol when you get a chance?
As with most alcohol-related diseases, the heavier the consumption and the more often one drinks, the increase in likeliness that one will develop any of these cancers. When alcohol is being processed, the body turns it into a chemical known as acetaldehyde. This intense chemical is what has the ability to damage the body, leaving it vulnerable to various cancers. Alcoholism is an incredibly difficult disease that can cause havoc to the physical and mental state of the body. Potential cancers are only one more reason why one's relationship with alcohol should always be monitored and controlled. This way, it can remain a fun adult indulgence instead of a risky health decision.
This is the wrong way to consume alcohol.
Whoa, that's a pretty stiff cloud.
Bleached flour.
Flour is, of course, just wheat.
Bleached flour is the wonderful ingredient that makes the beautiful-looking, soft white bread sandwiches found in school lunchboxes. It's the first ingredient in almost any cake. It's probably these childhood experiences that make adults so fond of bleached white flour as opposed to other more hearty, earthy, and flavorful options. Although it has many wonderful uses and provides a soft and fluffy texture, bleached flour is much more dangerous than many may expect. fact, depending on where one lives, an additive used in the process of making bread known as potassium bromate is added to the recipe. This ingredient assists in speeding up the time required to produce the flour. It also has been linked to cancer in animal studies. Luckily, this has been banned in several countries, one of which being Canada. However, it is still regularly accepted in the United States, putting millions potentially at risk. With almost no difference in taste, try making one of the easiest and healthiest changes to your diet and reap the rewards. The amazing taste of natural flour can't be beat, and your future self may thank you.
Thank you.
Stick around and tap that screen for another great video, hit that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell.